Welcome to Reality After Show coverage of the Challenge Season 40. Today we are talking episode 13, Twitter Beefs, Josh, all-time loser pantheon. We got a lot to discuss today. I'm your host, Dan Montchal, joined as always, Alex Trias, Paulie Calafiore. Boys, how's it going today?
I don't even know where to start, man. Like, yes, there was an episode that happened this week. I feel like there was like 5 episodes that happened between our last podcast and now.
I feel like we should cover the Twitter drama before we get into the episode.
I mean, there's not much to say about the episode, so I'm for that too.
All right, so
the recap of the episode, really awesome daily. A little bit
Very
interesting,
fun.
Not really much in between that. An elimination that we knew was going to turn out the way it turned out. And then Josh giving Corey a 1 karma vote after calling him family. Hilarious.
And you knew they kept that in there specifically for him to just be like, yeah, I'm going to treat you like family, all right? Gonna give you a fat old 1.
Oh, dude. The karma vote's causing so much drama, like between Laurel and Johnny, and now Corey and fucking Josh. It's great.
Ugh.
It's great.
So,
Honestly, Josh knew what he was doing. He's getting ready for that future Rivals season, and he's like, if I can just confine myself with Corey, at least he can potentially help me win an elimination.
It's not bad. Corey's now 11-4 in eliminations.
11-4.
it's what he needs because clearly, if Josh is ever going to make it to a final, he needs a strong partner. Corey's not a bad option.
It's not bad. He's not bad. He can also train with Corey's daughters and have them do puzzles and everything. They got this.
I think Josh might be able to pick up the brains aspect of the Corey situation. You know,
And
like,
probably
I
the
think
social game too.
Yeah.
Josh could have been the voice of reason that was like, hey, protect Amanda.
You know what? He would have. I feel in that type of specific situation, Josh, aren't they cool in like outside the show?
Oh, yeah. Josh
Yeah.
and Amanda are super cool.
Yeah.
But I also feel like Corey's detriment would be solving puzzles and doing math in a final where I think that would probably be his strongest suit. You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's what we need because if you could merge Josh and Corey and put them into one person, that'd be a pretty solid challenger.
Yeah.
Because
You know what?
each of their flaws is like the other one's strength. So I think that could be a perfect partnership.
We could see it happen. We could see it happen. And you know, we can just break it down right now too, because Corey dog walked him in that elimination, and like I get it. Like Josh has gotten so much better shape. Like compare him to even 2 seasons ago, different person. You can't teach being an athlete at this age, and that's that bread and butter. You could see it from go. Like Corey has that college football background, and a lot of college football guys also have sort of like that track sort of mindset for sprints. And from the horn, Corey's out of the blocks, whereas you could see multiple times Josh didn't even have a plant foot ready. Like he was taking 2 stutter steps, figuring out which foot he's supposed to launch off of first before even starting to run. Like those are just like the little things. Like Corey's running on the outside when he's playing defense, knowing that he can cut right immediately past the wall to hit the person who's just running in a straight line. It's like there's levels to this, man.
Yeah, there really was levels to it. I guess because I never really have seen Josh sprint, right? Like I only really see him like when he's jogging, and he has good cardio. But that really exposed how slow he is, because Corey was winning the straightaway when he was on offense, and then he was getting around with so much time when he was on defense to almost not only just hop over the hay, but like turn around and almost face him like at a 45-degree angle before even making contact. Like there was not I'm jumping over the hay, I'm seeing this guy coming, and I'm just going to try and tackle him on the way down. It was just a utterly dominant performance. Like my advice to Josh would be, you lift the weights, right? So you're clearly working on your strength. That's fine. You're working on your cardio. That's fine. But you cannot, like Alex said, make up for years of not being an athlete. So if I was Josh, the only training I would be doing in the off season is athlete training, which you need physical people to do that. So like if I was him, I'd be, taking wrestling classes, taking jiu-jitsu classes, taking boxing, Muay Thai, and I would start getting involved in things that maybe you aren't usually involved in, like, I don't know, flag football, so that you start understanding speed and agility and angles and how to close people down and all that stuff, right? And that's basically the hole I see in his game, and because of that, he may get confidence, because I think going into an elimination, he already knows he's going to lose. And, as somebody who has confidence going into eliminations, who has just lost back-to-back eliminations on his last 2 seasons and gone home early, I already, as I'm training, am already in the mindset of like trying to envision myself going into elimination. And I'm not going to lie, like, it's hard for me, who is confident, to sit there and like kind of put it out like, all right, those were 2, they were kind of flukes, it was unlucky, it was out of your control, it is what it is. You still can beat 95% of the people 95% of the time. So and that's me, right?
Right.
Take somebody like Josh, opposite end of the spectrum. He's going to have to do a lot of psychoanalysis on himself to almost start to envision those eliminations before they get there, so that he could like start stringing some together, because he's on pace to have the worst elimination record in challenge history.
Funny you mentioned that, because I did see one of those challenge stat tweets pop up, and this is the company that he's in. He's currently 1-7. Well, obviously you have your Dannys and your Tyrees, who are 0-6.
Okay.
Never will be better than that.
Okay.
You have Jasmine, who he's tied with, of 1-7. And then you have other people like Robin, who is 1-6. Derek, before this season in All Stars, 1-4. Jessica from like back in the day, 1-4. DM 1-6 or 1-5. It's like as a competitor, you're doing the body work, but you're not having the results from it because you're not doing the ones that matter for elimination. Like, he's doing stuff that's going to be beneficial for the day that he eventually cracks into a final, but you need the athleticism, you need reaction time, you need to figure out your footwork and just being steady on your feet. Because there's a reason why, if you're getting called clumsy by literally everyone, you have to fix that.
Yeah. And it's also, he needs, instead of relying on his social game, he needs to almost come in with the mindset of like, I need to get this elimination out of the way early, risk it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you win, it's great, because then you have a chance of maybe not getting thrown in again until maybe the very end, but then you already have that, street time down there. Because as the game goes on and as it gets closer to the final, if you haven't seen an elimination yet, like, it is very, very like jittery if you're about to go in there, because the stakes are higher. Like, my mindset with Theo was like, if I win this, everybody's going to fear me for the rest of the season. I'm not even probably going to go in again.
Right.
And if I did, everybody already just saw what happened in whatever elimination it could have been. Unfortunately, it was a hall brawl. But they then have the fear of like, fuck, I'm going against him. Now, whereas Corey on the flip side has a huge advantage. He's been down 3 times, back 3 times. That's really scary for anybody that's going to have to see him, right before a final.
Mm-hmm. Especially when like you have, because if I'm Josh, it's sort of like Josh and Corey should have opposite reactions to eliminations depending on the season format. Corey should want to go in early and go in late, because a lot of times early and late in modern seasons are the more physical eliminations that require less having to use your brain outside of an athlete's brain. Whereas Josh should want to go in the middle, like when the change up of the format happens, because that's when you get your puzzles. That's when you get it's really you against yourself. It's not you going head to head against someone. It's just, can I figure out the math? Can I figure out the puzzle? Like, it's easier things for you to win, but yet you pretend as if you've proven yourself.
So I was going to save this till the end, but Alex already brought up the stat.
Oh, sorry.
No. It doesn't tap on it. we're going to play a little game here. Just a quick one, real quick.
Okay.
We're talking just flagship, so his USA one doesn't count. So for this purposes, he's 1-6 in elimination.
Okay.
Does this person more or less or same amount of losses that he has? So Josh has 6. Start with Darrell. All time, just on flagship. Does Darrell have more or less the same amount of elimination losses as Josh?
It had to be less.
I think it's the same.
It's close. It was slightly less. Darrell only has 5.
Okay.
All right.
I knew
Yeah,
it was kind of up
because
there.
I was thinking he's had like 8 to 9 flagship seasons, and he went to the final the first 4. So I was like just mathing it. I was like tentative.
So we'll go to someone who's been on, say, a pretty decent, amount of seasons. Leroy.
He's made a good amount of finals.
I think Leroy's 9-6.
It might be the same. Yeah.
Nailed it. He got
Nailed
his
it.
6th elimination loss this season. So
Nice.
There we
has
go.
the same amount of losses. Let's see. Who do we want to go with next? Let's go with... Oh, you know her well. Let's go with Cara. Paulie probably knows her record, but...
She has less.
Yeah, isn't it like 4?
She has 5.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I think she's 14-5.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
right.
because
Yeah.
we're taking out the All-Stars ones that he
Yeah,
got.
the All-Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Just
right,
flagship.
CT. CT's been around for a while.
Are we counting DQs?
No. This is elimination losses.
Surprisingly, CT has more losses than Josh.
But he's also early on. He went into more.
I feel like he has a less than 500 record. I think he has something weird like.
Oh yeah,
89.
his record isn't great because he goes in rarely and sometimes it's just not a good one. Let's say more. Let's flirt with it.
6-6. He got his 6th elimination loss this season. All right,
So
and
close.
Okay.
here we'll go 2 more. This one's pretty easy. You should know Jordan.
Isn't it the
Jordan's got less.
It's
I
the
think
same.
He's pretty good.
Because we're not counting All-Stars. He has 5.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, you know what? I was it's because I saw the overall record earlier today.
All right. And
Because yeah.
for
Okay.
last one, let's go Brad.
Oh, he has more.
He's got more.
Even if you take out All Stars.
By 1.
Yeah.
Brad has
He's-
7 losses. So this is
Yeah.
the company that Josh is in with these people that have been around for 15, 18 years on and off. Josh has the same amount of elimination losses with nowhere near the same amount of the closest he's probably to on that list is CT, just simply because CT only has 6 wins. It's staggering how bad it
Hey,
is.
and when Josh gets onto that 5 elimination win streak, are we gonna have to compare both of them?
No.
Who's to say?
I don't know, man. I mean, I can't really dog him because if we're counting all of my seasons, I'm 3-5. I'm pretty sure if you want to count, I'm 3-5 in eliminations. So I need to stack some elimination wins to kind of offset and get myself back to 500. Those redemption house of limbs really set me back.
Yeah, that was like a rude awakening. Then you had to like fight your way back the following season a little bit to catch up.
I got some good wins
I can
that
see it.
season, and I got the win on War of the Worlds 1, but then I didn't see an elimination War of the Worlds 2, and then back-to-back early losses, just brutal.
The thing is, I feel like with your skill set, especially, I feel like not in the same way because I feel like you can do a lot of the athletic stuff, but you could also do a lot of the ones that they throw in between, like a lot of those puzzle style or just straight up endurance style comps. So like,
And I don't want to talk, some of them are included, and to give you a little bit of an out, I'm sure you're not going to talk bad about her. Natalie doesn't exactly have the greatest elimination record as its own, so you can kind of say, that drug you down a little bit on those redemption.
Yeah. Well, we'll cut it in half.
I will talk totally bad about it. It was all her fault every time we lost. Like, that's what pisses me off about, that's what pisses me off about even, the famous fight clip with me, Zach, Brad, and Kyle from Final Reckoning is, when Zach's able to sit there and be like, your hammer's still in the wall, homie. And I'm like, mine or my fucking partner's hammer? Let's be real. What pisses me off about that is I had to watch her. I yanked mine out in 2 yanks, and I was watching Jose and Devon struggle with theirs. And I had to just watch Natalie struggle for a good 10 minutes. 10 minutes as she's trying to yank it out, and I'm like, please just make this happen. I'm ready to smash the glass and get through this. And there's nothing more embarrassing than standing in a cage, pacing back and forth like a lion, waiting to come out and ring a bell and then scream at everybody on stage that you're coming back in, and they should all fucking be shit in their pants, only to watch the other people just come back.
The only thing that's more embarrassing, from my knowledge of the show, or at least I felt secondhand embarrassment, was it was X's 2 when Nani and Johnny were going against Leroy and Nia on the fireman's pole challenge.
Oh, man.
And
Nani got stuck.
Nani gets stuck, and all Johnny can do is hang there and watch as Leroy just straight up laps her because she can't get out of the little hitch.
The only other one I'll put up there is what it would have been Rivals 2 was Zach's celebration when he chucked his helmet into the ground or into the crowd. I think it bounced off of Wes's head or something, and then they got DQ'd, so they didn't actually win.
That's brilliant. It is. Good times.
The challenge brings great times. And because I was thought you were going to mention the one where you went up against Cam, and the resistant dam was extremely more resistant for you.
You said it, not me. I am not allowed to talk about that publicly.
Oh, I'll say it all the time.
Yeah, but everybody saw it. Everybody saw what went on there. Let's...
Yeah.
And that one was ridiculous, but even the the third one, which was that puzzle, it wasn't really shown that episode, but I solved one whole side and was like, Natalie, this side's solved, go solve the other side. And she went to the side that I solved and started flipping things, and I'm like, no. And then she comes off, and I solved that side again, and then solved the other side down to the last piece. And I was on the last piece, and the time was running out for us to be able to do it. And I'm like, check. And before I got to the last one to flip it up and say check, TJ blew the horn, and I was like, come on, dude. I was like, that is just so brutal. And then go figure, we win we win the 2 eliminations that I would have thought, looking at it, oh, they're done.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. But going back to this episode, though, it was really an athlete's episode because that daily, I don't know if I would have done well in it.
So fun.
But it would have been so much fun to do. But again, you can see people who aren't coordinated, you're not going to be able to do this daily. Because it's very straightforward. It's a pendulum, it's timing, and that because short people could hit it. It was proven that even if you're short, you could hit at least some of the targets. So it's all about time and athleticism. That's why a lot of the guys were doing very well, because that's all of them except for Josh. That's exactly the type of shit they train for.
I agree. It would have been fun. I mean, props. I mean, I knew Jordan was going to compete the way he did. No shocker there. And honestly, I'm not shocked by Derek performing that way, because I've been saying for the longest time that Derek is like a silent, sneaky, athletic guy. Derek is a sly, sneaky, athletic guy. That's where it cut out before I said it.
No,
Yeah,
he definitely is.
Yeah, because I feel like there's two different things that are going out there right now. Is there's the people that are not surprised, being like, I knew Derek always had it. And the other side, I don't think it was that we were ever surprised that we didn't have it, that he had this in him. Because we started to see it in All-Stars 4, the glimpses of, ooh, he could be a really good competition. He just unfortunately fell into that same camp of, you are what your record is. And his record just happened to be really bad, but he's kind of starting to get this redemption of, oh, he can compete. I just think it's a little weird how they were editing it, because they're setting him up to do well in the final, not win. And this was just kind of his episode to be like, Derek's here, let's celebrate him now and all of his accomplishments.
Well, I think they are really trying to just highlight... The story is interesting, like you said. Like, I don't think he's winning, but they're making it a point of him to start doing well, or showing that he's really good at the social game. They had Bananas propping him up last week about how great of a social game he has. Now you have Jordan, like, hyping him up in confessional, being like, oh, this dude's a dark horse. Like, he's very good. You have Josh talking about, like, how fast Derek is, how great at puzzles Derek is. Like, they're using... I feel like they're using everyone else to really prop him up, so that even if he loses, now they have more of an excuse to be like, we can bring this guy back because we know at least as an athlete and a competitor, Derek's now legit, and we're now using this to legitimize him by having all these other great or known players hype him up.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And he needed this because coming up to this point in the season, it was Derek's really good socially, and he just needed his moment on the season. He didn't need it right away. He didn't need it in the teams, but it's clear he's going. I mean, he already has gone far, but it seems like he's at least going to make it to the final. That he needed his moment, because everyone else on the season so far, minus like, I don't think Jenny or Aviv really has, but most people have had their kind of moment, and so give Derek his moment. He deserves it in his flowers.
Aviv had her moment.
We're not talking Footgate. We're not like, we're just...
Plantar fasciitis, man. She's persevered.
This is not Bananas podcast. We're not no more feet.
Between the plantar fasciitis and the Footgate, like, somebody in the editing room has a foot fetish.
Oh, yeah, and we need to find out who.
It's just the fall
Put them
from
on the bench.
that we went from reunion boobies to all about the feet. Like, give me whoever was doing the first job.
Reunion boobies to foot jobs. Who would have thought?
Who would have freaking thought? Who would have... Oh, my God, dude.
But
the other interesting part of this episode was the conversation with Rachel and Bananas.
Right?
I don't... Now, mind you, I don't know. Rachel's a very smart player. I think she's smart enough to know, exactly how to work the people that she's, working with. Because I'm sitting here, I'm like, Rachel was probably, the biggest anti-Bananas guy, right? The Mean Girl trio of, Tina, Veronica, and Rachel. Biggest anti-Bananas guy. But now here we are seeing her compliment him, which is Jonny really that good at smoothing somebody over social game wise? I think that has something to do with it also, because he is very good at doing that from a game standpoint. Or is Rachel also playing him, knowing that if you give this guy compliments and stuff like that, he's gonna immediately warm up and and feel a certain type of way? Or has the game kind of, because they put him in, almost like the corner together, caused this to actually be a genuine reaction?
I feel like it's a combination. I think we absolutely have to give her credit of being able to work people, because she's one of the few people in the game where technically she's doing the same thing that Josh is doing, just not being vocal about it. Josh was trying to be friends with everybody and aligned with everybody. In a sense, Rachel is aligned and friends with everyone that's left in the game. And because of how she decided to maneuver the game and negotiate with all the men, be like, look, you want me in the end. I will protect you to the ability that I'm able to protect you, which is like a fine line to allow yourself to break that deal whenever it's convenient. Like she did it with Corey this round, but still like put it in a way where like Corey can't feel a type of way about it. Cause like, no, you're right. Like Bananas has been having your back and protecting y'all for all these, through all of his eliminations. So I can't be mad at you for not picking me, even though I had you now as my number one, even though I had Michelle as my number one, and now I have Cara as my number one. Like, she has this way of just being able to rub off against it because she's just competing very well. So as a guy, why would any of them want to target her?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think, Bananas, sure, he's always going to be somewhat immature. He's not immature like when they first met. So I think they could at least move past that. He clearly does have a lot of charisma, a lot of things going his way, that it doesn't surprise me that maybe he was able to win him over. But I also think she's smart, knowing that, hey, right now, the two biggest threats on the guy's side are Jordan and Bananas. I need to make sure that I stay in my good graces of both of those. And the other thing that popped into my mind is Bananas is obviously the biggest constant on the challenge. He's around for the most seasons. As it gets later in the game, do you think, does it ever occur to her, if I can somehow win 40, not saying she, I think she's one of the favorites to do it. That's obviously a hard road to get there. If I can somehow win 40, that puts me tied for the most wins at 3 on the female side. And after taking all of this time off, I would just be one away from having that record all to my own, which she's clearly in good enough shape to do it. Bananas always goes far in it. Could it also be a long social play with that as well, that if she has her eyes on being like, I can be the undisputed female GOAT and get 4 wins, 2 in the old era and potentially 2 in the new, does that play into it at all? Not saying that it does, it's just something crossed my mind.
So would this be her third or fourth win if she wins?
This would be her third. So she would still need one more, which was saying you stay in Bananas' good graces, because Bananas always goes far in a game. He's burned a lot of bridges. If we come back and we're on the same season, maybe, she can use him and their friendship to get her fourth. If she gets 3 here. Obviously.
The only thing that would go against that's a great theory in a world where we know that this is going to be the format that sticks for the future. Where it doesn't really matter what your relationship is with the whole house, just the opposite gender within that house. Because if that's the format every year, every season, and Rachel walks in, if I'm a guy on that show, I'm like, yeah, I'd run with her. Easy. No doubts about it. She can or cakewalk to the final, and then I'll benefit from that. But it's like, I don't hate that theory, though, that she's wants that GOAT status.
That would be a massive long-term play in a chess realm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like if she really was kind of like, let me really think this out. Now here's my devil's advocate question though. If you put Rachel on a season with Jonny and she has the full Mean Girl squad of Veronica and Tina, do you think that Rachel works with Jonny?
I think she would, simply because now it seems like Jonny and Tina are okay. Veronica and Jonny seems like it's out. But when it got to All Stars 4, it seemed like, sure, it was a trio. Rachel was the head woman in charge of that group. And I think as long as they're all there, it would be a default to, we're going to play our own game, but we're going to play it Rachel's way.
But also not a controversial... I don't think it's a controversial take at this point. Through All Stars 4 and this season, I think without a doubt I can easily say Rachel's game has a higher win equity when the Mean Girls aren't there with her. Because once they are out, she gets to solely focus on her game. whenever they have been together in those two, isolated into this season and All Stars 4, her main objective wasn't about herself. Her main objective was for all of them. She wants all of them to make it to the final. She's trying to use them in ways that would benefit her game, of course, but also benefit their games as well. That's a lot to prioritize when you can just be there as this badass competitor that a bunch of people will see as a free agent that they can swoop in.
Very, very true. Yeah, it would be interesting because could Veronica not go at Jonny
No.
in order to not cause friction, like between that relationship? And like the thing is, like Rachel's not a dumb player, right? So like if Veronica could do what Veronica does with her words and like just publicly paint him as public enemy number one, and like try and get like the whole house against it. Like, is Rachel going to kind of like Homer Simpson into the bushes, or is she going to try and like broker with Veronica? Like, hey, stop doing that. Like, it's kind of good for our game too.
It would honestly, it'd be the ultimate test, because what Bananas has been saying all this postseason is going after, Tori and Michelle. Just because me and Devin were going at it doesn't mean you had to pick sides. And would Jonny turn into the biggest hypocrite if then yelling at Rachel, being like, well, no, tell her to stop, like, and not let her play the middle. Let's see, I could see that play out.
That's why I called it the devil's advocate right there.
Yeah.
A lot of different things could play out there.
See, I'm not someone who wants to see Veronica, especially on the main or flagship show,
No.
but
I'm in the same boat.
yeah. But all Jonny has to do, as like a little tongue in cheek here, is just bring Veronica like a couple bottles of wine, like always have something stashed in the house.
Zach
Here's the
tried
thing.
that.
And
It didn't
now
work.
that Anissa's gotten in shape, Veronica's the new Anissa.
Yeah.
And of the Mean Girls, it's like Tina's now, you could argue, in the best shape of her life, like even better than when she
100%.
was originally on the show. So I would almost hope that be continued as like motivation, if because I don't blame any of them for taking the paycheck. If someone comes to you and be like, hey, we want you on the show, here's some money for to show up, do what you want to do. But like if you want to win that actual money, it's like put the work in, and like, because I feel like Veronica has her wins. Like, she has her wins. It was a different format, different type of time in the challenge, but the pieces are there. She just has to like essentially up her cardio, because she's always been good at like the brain side of the game.
So
I agree.
Completely agree. But if we kind of finish up with Rachel, and this will help segue us into maybe the next topic, is
The beef.
yeah. I think what she can set up is she's good with Bananas, and she seems to be good with everyone. She could almost play that CT role from the last 5 years, where he's just there. He's good with everyone. He isn't saying, I'm on this side or another. He gets to play that middle role. And I almost think that Rachel has set herself up the best. Like I said, if she wants to be that undisputed GOAT, she could potentially do that, especially looking forward in the next few seasons. You're not going to have this stacked of a competition. Maybe she could get another one or two. With the whole foil being there, she doesn't quite have CT's game down, because her and Devin have been going at it all week.
Who did Corey pick as the targets?
Aviv, Jenny, and Michelle, because Rachel
won,
was safe.
so
Because he's paying Michelle back.
Yeah.
And Rachel was safe.
And
So that
and
makes
Cara
sense.
and Tori at that moment are now his 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. It's just like with the dwindling numbers, though, everyone that he picked made absolute sense. I don't even think he would have picked Rachel.
Now, here's the thing. If Derek, the only person that hasn't seen an elimination at this point, right? Because we know that if Corey goes down again and wins, and Rachel is open, she'll get picked. If Aviv is open, she'll get picked. If Jenny's open, she'll get picked. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if Derek goes down, we know that Michelle is safe. He hinted that Cara's safe this episode. So does Derek potentially take a shot at Rachel, or would it be like, does he take the shot that way as well with like Jenny, Aviv, and Rachel?
So the hardest part that we're going to have is what, now we're down to 5 each, is there's going to be a winner that you can't touch, which means you really only get to save one other person. And with that, I think Derek, not wanting to say necessarily I'm taking a shot at Rachel, but I think we know Michelle and Cara are higher on his list than what Rachel is. So by default, as long as Rachel doesn't win that daily for that cycle, I think Derek takes a shot there because
so let's see.
He doesn't have a choice.
So there's 5 and 5 right now?
Well, there's 6 and 5 now, but by the time, if Derek went into elimination next episode,
we'd be down to...
Oh, sorry, 2 episodes from now. If he was there, he would have to pick between 5 girls, so whoever loses next week
so that means
is out.
There's 2 more girls going home and 1 more guy going home.
So, for example, in a world
final,
where he would pick Cara, we would need Michelle to leave next week. Like, be in elimination, go home against either Aviv or Jenny, and then essentially, whether she loses or not, if Derek's in that position, I think Derek saves her, and everyone else just goes in.
So are we taking Michelle off the table for winning a daily?
Oh,
it was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke.
Oh, okay.
Well, and this will probably be the one. This will be the one thing that I said that I don't necessarily even want Michelle to go, but that'll be the one thing that if it gets clipped out there, that people are gonna be like, "Oh my god, now this is the best podcast," because all the Michelle haters on Twitter will come flocking to this.
They will.
There we go.
They will.
I speak for the masses, people. What can I say?
Listen, I'm not a Michelle hater. I'm just a Michelle, I'm calling your game as I see it.
And that's fair.
That's fair. Like, I love Michelle as a human. I think she's a little messy every now and then. Obviously I'm giving her a little extra shit because she is the one who threw me in to get 2 concussions against a guy twice my size. And not that decision had a trickle-down effect later in the season for her, but it did in many occasions. At this point in time, like, she would have needed somebody who could win dailies to keep her safe, and that's your boy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but now she's having to focus solely on Kyland. Kyland's her only hope to stay safe, and even Kyland has to admit to himself, like, as much as he's in on him, hyping himself up, like, oh, I can go against it. Like, you heard him today being like, he only sees Jordan as his competition in the final, which I'm like, sort of disrespectful to someone who's won 7 times and, like, outside of, like, a daily here and there, has been, like, top 3 from the guys every single time in Bananas. Like, you have to always consider Bananas and Jordan. You have to count on Derek because, like, Derek's showing that he's multifaceted in this game. So it just really emphasizes how in this end game, because I was thinking about it from the guy's side, I'm like, who goes? Who is the last person that goes before the final? Because I'm under the assumption that it's 4 guys, 4 girls going to the final with someone getting cut in along the way.
Like halfway through, yeah.
And so, like, really, the only person I would say is safe would be Jordan. And then outside that, I could see any of them go.
If I had a guess, I would say Corey or Kylan get cut for that last one. But I mean, really, I think Jordan's the only one that I would be shocked if it was him. You could tell me it was either the 4. So what? We have Bananas, Kylan, Corey, Derek. I don't think I'd be that shocked if it was either of those 4 that, just didn't go their way. They ended up in that last elimination where anything could happen.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. In what scenario for that final men's elimination do we not see either Bananas or Jordan hit the sand?
I think it's very likely you don't see Jordan hit the sand based off whoever loses. because either Jordan, I always just put Jordan up in front for winning the daily anyway and protecting himself more times than not, or like if like even if Jenny, let's say Jenny or Aviv are down there and they win the elimination, really even Michelle, like all of them have shown that they may or may not pick Jordan. But I feel like the girls, like along with Rachel, don't care if Jordan's in the final. So I feel more inclined to think that they would just pick the field of everyone else, as long as like,
especially if you get to at this point where here at the 5, we don't know what the final is going to be, but I mean, we saw it. I mean, the one that pops out is what was it? It would have been Vendettas, where it was Cara and Kayla. We're like, we're not getting rid of Zach. Zach's off the table, because if there is going to be a partnership in the final, they wanted to run with Zach. And I could see it being this close to the final. The same thing with Jordan, that it doesn't matter who necessarily wins, but their thought is, I want to potentially be partnered with someone like Jordan in the final over everyone else. So I'm not putting him up for elimination because he's your safest bet. Because what if, I mean, you have Corey, but like, what if it comes down to a puzzle? I need to do it all on my own. Like, everyone else kind of has those little dents in their overall resume that would be a reason for them not to be there, where Jordan really doesn't. Jordan's either good or great at pretty much every category you could have.
Okay, so the only scenario where Jordan is an option is if he doesn't win this next week's daily, and Michelle's in elimination and Michelle wins, she will, as long as she has the options, she will pick Bananas, Jordan, and Corey, because she won't put up Derek and she won't put up Kyland unless like the game forces her to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Outside that, I don't see Jordan going up.
Yeah, the more that I think about it, right? TJ's already said that it's going to be one guy winner and one girl winner individually.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, there really is no motivation to take a shot at one of the good guys, unless you're just trying to be funny.
Right. Because and everyone will have to go back once this season is done, and let's say Jordan goes on and like walks to the final, wins the final. There's going to be those small moments in time in the early portion of this game where Jordan had chances to be vulnerable that they did not take the shot in. And specifically, it will be when Bananas and Laurel had power. And we know Laurel would never have done it. But in a real world where you should think long term, and if you wanted to say it was going to be a team format forever, I don't care if Jordan's my best fucking friend. If he ain't on my team, I want him out. And that's like the end all be all, because that puts him in elimination against Horacio there. And it's a toss up there. Like, sure, Horacio lost to Derek in that competition, but for all we know, it was essentially bang bang. So it's always possible, especially it's something where you have to catch, not discounting Jordan. Jordan has shown that he can do literally whatever he wants, but it was the option. And I think a lot of these players will kick themselves when they see Jordan with that check at the end.
I don't know. I mean, we have the perfect person right here. Like, Paulie, if you had the chance, say a do-over for World of Worlds 2, I'm assuming you just throw him in every single time because he's hard to get rid of. And the fact
every single time,
we haven't seen it happen
to get rid of him
this entire season, like, that's... Every guy has to be, just has to rethink that. Be like, why didn't we make him see elimination once, let alone every single time?
Right.
I agree.
Because, like, are you really that scared of Corey in a final? Like, I know Corey's gotten close. And, like, there's the argument to be made statistically that Corey is one of the best to never win the show. Just based off how many second place finishes in a final he's had, the amount of finals appearances he's had, the elimination record. I think he has also is tied or has the most daily win or the highest daily win streak, as well as a certain point during his challenge career. Like there's a lot of stuff there, but I'm like, Jordan is Jordan. Like I do feel like that they have to be listening to us somehow in retrospect and throwing in these specific confessionals of like we've been talking all this time about like, is Jordan actually like the Michael Jordan of the challenge? We hear Tori talk about that just randomly in this episode, not for the right reasons, by the way, because she was like, he's Michael Jordan because he's good at random stuff. Like, no, he's Michael Jordan because he is the best to do it. Like
Has Tori ever watched basketball? Does she
I don't
know.
know. I know she's watched football, but I don't know if she's seen a basketball game, despite attending them for Challenge Mania.
Hold on, let me look up a quick stat real quick.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'm personally, I'm conflicted here because, while Paulie looks this up, do I want him to break that record with Leroy for most finals without a win, or do I want him to stay tied? I don't know. Like,
okay,
it's tough.
So she is old enough to have lived through the Michael Jordan hype. She was born in 1993. Okay, which means that she's around 30, 31 years old.
Yep.
Which means that she was alive to understand the MJ hype.
Look, you don't even need to be alive to understand the MJ hype. You could be being born right now, and you'll know the Michael Jordan hype. But
it's different. It's different.
I know it's a little different. I'm a 95. I'm a 95 kid,
she was only like 2 years old. She may have missed the hype. Like I was born in 88, so like by the time Jordan kind of came and the hype was going, like I was already at that age where I knew what sports was, and I had my Michael Jordan jersey and playing basketball with my friends and like trying to be MJ, and Space Jam was like a thing for the kids. Like
Space Jam.
Yeah, like I don't think Tori like truly understands the Michael Jordan. Like I think Tori's understanding of Michael Jordan is maybe she watched The Last Dance with Jordan. At some point, like during COVID.
But there's always the people, I don't know, I feel like there's at least a few in every family that have that reverence for him. Because so I was born in 91, so I don't ever really remember watching him play outside of like little highlights. But my dad, who doesn't like basketball, just speaked about him as if, he is the holy one. And it's like, I've never heard my dad speak about anyone in sports, let alone a basketball player, with so much reverence as they do with Michael Jordan. And there's just those people out there being like, the man's different.
Yeah, you know what? And this brings up a good point. To anyone who has listened this far into the podcast, especially if you're on the YouTube channel, I want you to put in the comment who you would want from the challenge to do the challenge equivalent of Space Jam. Who would be your Michael Jordan in Space Jam?
Jordan.
Or who would you pull for the Monstars? What 5 uniquely talented challengers would you make to make the Monstars?
No.
Put it in the comments.
The Monstars have to be 5 uniquely terrible challengers.
Because you take okay, yeah. I guess that's what I'm saying. The talent you would take from it. Because the first answer is CT. CT's your center right then and there.
Well, no, but you have to make it as in like Josh stealing his talent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if I had to do this, I would have Jordan as the MJ figure, right?
Yeah.
And then the Monstars would steal from CT, Wes, Bananas, Darrell, and I don't know, maybe Landon.
Yeah.
I don't know if Dan might be triggered by you saying Landon.
No.
Maybe Landon. That's the 5 right there. And then the 5 challengers that take their power got to be Josh.
It might be Josh 5 times.
No, because Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Oh, Tyree.
I love Tyree. That's my boy. But yeah, Tyree.
Danny Jamison.
Dan, your boy.
Yeah,
Danny Jamison has to be in there.
Danny Jamison, definitely one of the Monstars that's stealing the talent.
Who's our 5th schmuck that we're putting in here?
The fucking Alon.
I was either going to say Alon or the dude that quit because he wanted to go home to see his girlfriend. Brandon in Rivals 3.
No.
Yeah, Brandon, yeah. Totally forgot about that man.
But Alon would be a good
Alon would work. If you needed 6-man, I would say Nelly taking Corey's ability after we saw last week. Corey like, damn, I can't do this puzzle. If only Nelson was here, we would have done it.
Man, if only you took Nelson and Corey's brain and made them one, puzzles would be solved.
Oh, you know what? Solved.
Just get all of TYB to have one brain when it comes to puzzles and have Hunter in there as well. I mean,
Hunter's carrying.
Yeah, and that's not saying much on the puzzle.
That's not saying much.
Dude, I watched Hunter on War of the Worlds 1 when we had the slider puzzle. He looked at it, started sliding around for 2 seconds, and then for the rest was just like this, knowing that he wasn't going to solve the puzzle, and he was on top of a go-kart, like, driving around, doing, like, wheelies in the sand. Like, one of the funniest moments of all time.
So, but yeah, I think that's where it is you have Alon stealing all of it's not Landon. It's the trio of TYB that he gets all of their powers into one. I think that's the answer.
Yeah. So, all that said and done, put all that stuff in the comments.
It's Jonny Fairplay, reality TV icon, Survivor Hall of Famer, and I'm talking today about Work Money. Work Money is a non-profit organization that focuses on lowering costs and raising incomes for all Americans to make American life more affordable and American families more economically secure. They provide products, services, perks, benefits, tips, and tools to help members improve their financial lives. It's time to level up and make more money in this economy. We're talking getting rich. Now, this sweepstakes is giving away $50,000. You can use this to pay your rent, your mortgage. Imagine what you can do with all the money that you'll save. Now, this is put on by Work Money, and this site has all these sick benefits, and it's free. Go sign up right now and get more rich. Now, listen, you can change your life. Now, what would you do if you didn't have to pay your rent or mortgage for a year? Listen, sign up right now for free. Link is available right here in the show notes. Check them out. Personally, I'd get more pinball machines. I'm Jonny Fairplay. I wouldn't lie about that. It's Work Money. More money.
Dan, let's talk Twitter beef.
Where do you want to start? You want to start with?
No, I gave it to you. There's so many options.
How it started, right? Because I feel like the Laurel and Nerys thing has been like a 3-week ongoing saga. But then out of nowhere, we got what? Like Devin and Rachel, and who else?
Devin and Rachel, Devin and Bananas. Both of them putting some shitty comebacks to each other of living rent free in each other's heads.
Let's start with Laurel. She's our favorite person to shit on.
Oh God. Okay.
All right, so let's just start here. How much of a terrible person is Laurel? Go.
Well, it's not even that. It's how she goes about it. Because whenever she says something and there's a comment about like, oh, you must have saw X and X, like she's talking about Horacio and like, oh, but didn't you see Horacio's thing where he said I want nothing to do with you? She's like, oh, I haven't read that. Like, she's always just ignorant to the fact of anything that's out there, but I'm like, then why are you reacting? Oh, someone told me. My 6'6" cousin who's gonna beat up anyone who's threatening my life told me about it. But it's like, she hammers down for a full solid week, and then has the audacity to put in there that, oh, I'm not even fazed by this. I'm like, girl, you are talking into the fucking ether. Like, Nerys isn't even there. There's problematic shit about how you're spelling her name too, but I'm you know what, as a white guy, I ain't touching that subject right now. But it's just like she's straight delusional. She's past the Camilla point for me now.
And like, my favorite thing about a Laurel meltdown is she'll be going off, and then like, she'll end it with something weird like, anyways, can't wait for Christmas and Thanksgiving. Like, I love decorating for the holidays. Like, what's everybody doing?
Yeah.
What's everybody's plans? It's like,
girl was putting stock photos of people hooking up in the shower to try to prove that she's in a relationship.
She did that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, someone, like, apparently, like, she put up some, like, photo of, like, people assumed originally it was like her and some random dude like in the shower, like, but it's like you can't clearly see it. And someone said like they found it on Google Images, like it's just like a stock photo for like die in relationship.
So you have
God,
that.
is...
I think my favorite is whatever excuse she uses is when she goes on these tangents. It's always 5 days after it should have happened, and it's like, did it like? Like you can say a lot of things about her, but she isn't necessarily dumb on like a book smart level.
No.
Did this take you 5 days to come up with this master plan? Because
no, her phone's gone, folks.
Her
phone's gone.
That's a shitty master plan. Like, who is assisting you in making this happen? Because it's awful.
Next funny part. It's when randomly, out of fucking nowhere, Tina injects herself into the fucking conversation.
Hashtag Tina thoughts.
So,
hold on.
So
I'm gonna send you guys a clip from the podcast I did with Zach and Pierre, and maybe we could insert this into this. But this is what I imagine is happening, going on. I'm gonna
Jesus.
I don't know if you guys will be able to hear it because I have my headphones on, but maybe
we'll find out.
Yeah, I just sent it to I just hit the official challenge chat that we got going on with it. And there's captions on it, so you can at least see what I'm saying, I think.
At the very least, we could find a way to add this into like in the description to be like, hey, go here, listen.
Yeah.
Dude,
no, but
I imagine that when it initially happens, she's like sitting there trying to like practice her Wusan. She's like, I'm not going to respond. Second day, it's like, I really shouldn't respond. Like, but yeah, whatever. I don't even care. Third day, it's like, thinking about responding, and this is how I would respond. Fourth day, it's like she's typing up all the tweets. She's typing them all up, saving them as drafts. Typing them all. I was like, maybe if I just type them all up and save them as drafts, I won't tweet them out. And then day 5 comes, and it's just like a launch. Like, that clip that I just sent is basically like, I imagine Laurel sitting in a room, a dark room, like watching a horror film, and just slowly eating like something, like popcorn or whatever, and she's just like going over in her head like who's on her hit list and like what she's gonna do, and that's what I see when I see those tweets go off.
Mm-hmm. But like the funny thing with the Tina part, which like it was low key funny from Laurel too. It was just like, so Tina essentially was like, "Girl, you need to put your phone down. Like you should step away for your own mental health." And like Laurel like claps back at her, and then Tina just goes, "Okay. You can keep digging your grave, and I'll be looking down, towering over you." And Laurel just replies, "You are older and shorter than me."
And the thing is, I read Tina's tweets like in Tina's voice.
Yes. You have to.
Well, okay, well, I'll just keep watching you dig your old grave. And it's like, oh my god, man, it is crazy.
That's the best part, is that Laurel, she doesn't go back at it with like, you think the relevant people in it or anyone who maybe, T-pages or whatever. It's a random response to Tina. It's a random response to Corey Lay. It's just like, of all the, like, why are these people triggering you that I need to respond to them? I just
Here's the thing, dude.
Understand.
Like, I thought about, like, there's days where, like when she's going off on a tangent, I don't want to make it seem too awful, but like there's groups of challengers that are in group chats, and we're talking about it. And like it's more so when we see it start to go off, like everybody's having the conversation of like, not like, oh my god, it's happening. Like everybody's sitting there being like, should we like when it dies down, we're like, should we like just keep this going and like fire a tweet off at her and just like keep it going? Like there's been those talks of like, oh man, she stopped. Like, should we get it going again? Like, who wants to be the one to do the tweets? And I'm like, I'm staying out of all of this because I'm enjoying my like zen on Twitter, my Twitter zen. The past 2 years that may change next year. But I've enjoyed 2 years of like Twitter zen, and I'm like, but there is part of me that's kind of like, are those people doing the same thing? Like, are those people sitting there being like, oh man, if I tweet something, if I insert myself, like, it's just gonna keep it going. It's gonna keep the train wreck happening.
Because it's
and
the right
she,
thought.
and it will.
It needs to happen in the middle of the heater, because if you wait too long, she won't respond. But if you can catch her in like that,
Oh, no, she will.
4-hour window where
She'll
she's
respond.
firing off.
She'll wait.
Well, yeah, but you'd have to wait.
Yeah,
a
in,
week and
in
a
5
half
business
and-
days, you'll get your response, Dan. Like, there's been moments in time during this tirade where I wanted to quote tweet and just say something a little shitty. But I was like, one, I didn't want the Laurel stands that still exist to go get on my ass. And like,
Dude, I haven't said to
Yeah.
Cara, because like during the meltdown, like she was answering questions in her stories, and like somebody asked a question about Laurel, apologizing. Cara's like, nope, absolutely not, and she's doubling down. And I almost was like, please take that down. Please take that down. Like, you could not answer questions about Laurel, because she's going to start just randomly talking about this now and saying that you're the one that's obsessed and all this stuff. I'm like, just don't, like, let it just die out.
no, truly. And it's like overall, it's over the most weird thing. This overall, like, thing is, like, all just centered around Horacio, who's literally just, like, the most chill and off social, like, for the most part, off social media, not wanting to touch any type of controversy ever. And it's just like Laurel's just like offhand going, yeah, we were secretly fucking for like months. And I'm like, okay, tell us more.
I saw a tweet. I forget which account tweeted it, but it was the funniest tweet that I saw. It's like, Horacio, this motherfucker's just trying to run Spartan races and like do nothing. And here he is in the middle of like Twitter drama. Oh. All right.
Yeah, no, it's truly
Laurel's crazy.
wild. Laurel's crazy.
Now, I need to know how this Devin and Rachel and Bananas thing started, and has Michelle gotten involved? Like,
I
don't think Michelle has gotten involved in it, but
I believe this all started with going back, because Rachel was on Bananas podcast a few weeks ago, and I think Devin didn't really respond to it till recently, but it seemed to be with everything going on with Footgate last week. A lot of the pent-up aggression from both sides starting to come out in snarky comments.
did he say something about Footgate?
no, if he did, it was behind the Challenge Mania.
His comment
Wall.
was, for someone who's all about women empowerment, the fact that she sat there while Bananas went on his tirade about, it's funny when women get mad, they do this. Like, and Devin was upset that Rachel didn't step in and insert herself in that situation, and it's just kind of gotten out of hand since then.
I honestly low-key love this Rachel and Devin rivalry, though. Like, that actually would be a fun pairing on a Rivals season. It's just like, I think they would go fro.
I'm trying. I mean, is cancel culture over?
It depends. It depends, really.
Because, like, if Bananas was able to get away with saying that publicly unscathed on social media, I mean, cancel culture might be done. I've said less on seasons and gotten absolutely dragged to filth. But once again, like, I feel like it's an edited show.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We need to take it under the lens that it is edited. And because what I've heard about that bus ride is that everybody was chiming in and everybody was jumping in, on Bananas, saying those things. So, like, we don't know if Rachel chimed in or not. Like, I don't know if she came out and said that she did or not. What I will say is it wouldn't make much sense from an editing storyline standpoint to have Rachel chime in and say something to Bananas in that moment, even if she did, even if she was like, hey, dude, fucking chill.
Well,
you know what I mean? But the one thing I will say that I didn't like seeing was, like, I don't like when people play into the narrative, right? Devin and Michelle are clearly happy at this point in time. They're clearly happy at this point in time. This was filmed 6 months ago, even longer, and it's airing now. And, like, when you take the low blow of, like, Michelle, blink twice if you want to get out of this, it's like, we all know that they're now 8 months, 9 months into dating, and they're very happy. So, like, feeding into that kind of narrative stuff, like, I always hated that bullshit. People used to do that to Cara and I all the fucking time, and I couldn't stand it. I'm all about shit talk in the game and smack talk and all that stuff, but like keep it within the realm of like, the game. Like if he's calling you out for that, call him out for something else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's a vibe that we keep seeing. Is that people see, oh, you want to go low, I'll go lower, and just hit those low hanging fruits, even if it doesn't even make sense. I don't know. I found it comical seeing it, and like him questioning someone who's about
gets into it like that on Twitter.
Oh, she doesn't care. Yeah, she truly does not care. She's if you want to beef with her, she'll beef with you.
For real.
Yeah. But like, yeah, it goes all into like Devin also, I think, was like teasing that he was going to say stuff on Challenge Mania of like the things that he was like claiming he was going to say, depending on what people said during the Footgate episode. So.
Well, I bet he wish he would have said more. Like, here's the thing. Like, I'll never understand like firing off your warning shots preemptively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, here's the thing. Like, if I'm somebody that is ready to say shit, and somebody goes, everybody in this situation better watch out, otherwise I'm gonna say whatever. I'm gonna be like, all right, well, I'm just gonna wait a week, let him film whatever podcast he's about to film, and then I'm gonna launch my insults. You know what I mean? and then see what he says. I don't know. I just I see it from all perspectives, right? Like I think Rachel's getting upset, right? Because he's taking a shot at her feminist aura that she presents herself with, which he's not the only one that's doing that. A lot of fans are chiming in and saying that. Not that she's not getting a lot of love, but she is getting a lot of pushback of like, you did this toast at the beginning of the season. You're all about this. You've hated this person for so long, and yet here you are, right? But once again, people don't understand you're playing a game for money. Okay? On Devin's side, I totally see it where he's coming from. Situation happens. He gets eliminated. He's not able to protect his girl. He's now watching this all play out at home now that their relationship has furthered and their feelings have become stronger. So he's responding to that, right? And I think we all need to take a step when we're getting into these Twitter beefs and be like, all right, if somebody says something on a fucking podcast, cool. I'm gonna just tweet some funny shit back, and it's not gonna be a low blow. You know what I mean? And like I'm a big proponent on save your drama for the show, save your beef for the show. I'm really getting tired of seeing the Twitter beefs happen, and then it gets smoothed over before a show happens, and then we watch the shows, and everybody's like, what's going on here? I thought you guys were beefing, and everything's like, oh, we squashed that because we're adults. It's like, no, do that shit. Like, when I was getting into Twitter beefs back in the day, I carried that shit into the fucking house purposely because I was like, I've been tweeting all this shit. I'm fucking keeping this going. You know what I mean? Like, there ain't no, hey, let's mend this before we go in. It's, no, we both said that shit. We meant it. We're fucking going here.
Right. I feel like that's a little bit the Northeast mentality too, of just like, I'm like, no, I sort of said all this shit. Like, in my head, I'm like, should I make amends with them? Probably.
Yeah,
Am I? I can't.
We saw how the Northeast mentality got me in trouble this season, so we don't need to go on that, right? Like, I easily could have sat there and been like, all right, Theo, I know you want me, but like, you're way better than me, and I don't want to go home, and I want to be a team player. Michelle, think about your long-term game. I'm good for the team. But the Northeast mentality got me in trouble. And,
but see, like, Devin also has that Northeast in him, but I feel like these past couple of years, he's tried to be smart. He's like, I'm going to rein that back in. I'm going to talk and make good with Big Brother. I'm going to talk and make good with Banana Man and do all this stuff because I know ultimately it will pay off in the long run for my game. And I think he has finally reached a point and a motivation now being in a relationship with Michelle to be like, yeah, no, fuck it. Nah, I'm good. Let's start beeping. And you know what? That's good for the show. It's good for the show when Devin has people to actively be against instead of his narrative of being like, well, I am in the middle of everybody, and I'm here to make all of the deals. It's like, no, I want you fighting.
That was the best Devin, was him going after Bananas, poking, prodding him going after Josh, Big Brother sucks, everything
What's
like
8
that.
times 9,
Yeah.
buddy?
That was the best version of Devin, so if we can move to getting that back, which I feel is like what we should see, because all right, you wanted to play nice to go get your first win, that's fine. You have your win now, go play how you want to play, Devin.
Oh,
like
that's the other part of the beef as well, is like Devin just like venting about the thing between him and Bananas, because like whatever happened in the early portion of the game, they both have said semi-similar but a little bit different phrasing of how things went down in the early portion of the game. Regardless, Devin's like, look, I also just hate the fact, and we've said it on the podcast, of like, he hates the fact that Bananas comes into this, and every single season he tries to complain and make a martyr out of himself by being like, the whole world's against me. I never have friends in the game. He's like, dude, if you didn't have friends, I wouldn't have given you like $30,000 fucking dollars after I won Ride or Dies. Like, I would have like given you the finger and moved on.
That's my point about why people shouldn't play nice with people.
That was my reaction too.
yeah.
Like, the thing is, I always say this when I'm talking about the game. And when people ask me, would you have taken that money from Natalie? Fuck yes, I would have taken that money from Natalie. If people are like, would you have shared, the money after winning Ride or Dies? Fuck no, I wouldn't have shared the money after winning Ride or Dies. Would you have shared the money after winning Spies, Lies, and Allies? Fuck no, I wouldn't have shared the money after winning Spies, Lies, and Allies, because in 5 to 10 years, I'm not going to be friends with any of these people. None of them. On my deathbed, at my funeral, not a single one will be at my funeral, and I will not go to any of their funerals at all, right? So that money is mine to do with it in my life that I would like to do and that I would want to do. And if you need any other reason as to why you should do it, Bananas did it to Sarah. They were friends that season. Are they friends 5 to 10 years after that season? No. Hunter and Ashley, different story. But even if they were good that season, are they friends now? No. But guess what? The check still cashes. Put it in your bank. That way you're not living with any regret. You know how pissed I'd be if I gave somebody $40,000 or $50,000 and was like, fuck, man. Like, they didn't appreciate that, like, a couple seasons down the road. Like, I'd rather send somebody a nice champagne bottle that might cost me, like, $5,000 and be like, here you go, buddy. Enjoy this. Or, like, take them out shopping and, like, be like, hey, I won. I didn't share the money with you, but let me just, get you, like, $5,000 worth of, like, things that you might like or might need. But I ain't giving you $50,000 of income.
No, it's fucking dumb. It's fucking dumb. I hope that they all see that now. And whenever they win in their future seasons, if they do, be like, and you have all these people in the run-ups like, well, are you going to give me some of the money? I'll be like, fuck no. You should have won. I don't expect you to pay me.
I really pray and hope that the challenge gets away from this friendship, karma points, style things. I would like the cutthroat aspect back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and
I would like people there that take advantage of it.
Yeah. Well, don't let MTV off the hook, because it used to be you finished second or third, you got money. All right, well, that's fine. But don't just let MTV, Buena Murray off the hook, that if they're not going to offer it up, that's not your problem. That's what they decided to do with the season, so you don't owe them shit. Like, you keep what you want. And the point about, you made Paulie friends is great, because it's funny, you'll look back to all these old seasons and it's just like, oh, Tori and Anissa used to hate each other. Bananas and whoever at some point hated each other. People that, outside of like Leroy and Nani, which go back to their real world season, even people from their real world seasons or road rules or wherever, they now don't speak to them. So the fact that you get so caught up in this 8-week friendship is absolutely ridiculous.
You could maybe name on two hands, right? Leroy and Johnny will probably be friends.
Yeah.
Nani and Leroy will be friends. Wes and Nehemiah will be friends. I can't think of anybody else.
Yeah, like I guess you could make a claim for like a Derek and Mark type of thing. Because they do literally whatever together at this point.
Well, now, but like once again, but prior to the We Want
Mania and all that.
OGs yeah, but even before that, like Challenge Mania was just Derek's thing.
Mm-hmm.
With Scott, right? I always knew of Mark Long, but I never saw Mark Long involved or integrated into anything until he started the We Want OGs movement, and now he's basically a Challenge Mania mainstay. I think he's like basically he might be partnered up with them. I don't know, but he's at every single one.
Right. Yeah, the one guarantee of every Challenge Mania live, folks, Mark Long will be there.
Hide your kids, hide your wives.
Not all of them. Nah, but I think that's the main beefs right now. The main beefs that were toying for Twitter. It was really the Laurel of it all that was like feeding me on a daily basis. Just
That's going to be the gift that keeps giving.
Yeah, it's just going to keep coming.
Laurel and herpes. That's something you can
What
just count
I'm
on
excited
continuing
for,
to come back.
Bananas did put out that he is doing a solo podcast to answer questions, and he will be recapping things that he wants to talk about. And he specifically, in a true Bananas fashion, right? He specifically put it out there to bait to see if Devin was going to respond and everything.
And he hooked
did
in.
it hook, line, and sinker. Said, "Who should I flame? And why is it dog shit breath?" And Devin responded, and in a true Bananas fashion, he already had the next tweet in the chamber being like, if Devin responds, I'm responding with, so you're admitting you have dog shit breath. It's the oldest trick in the book. Like, if I ever get tagged in something from Bananas, I now know that he has a couple
Something
things in the chamber that he might want to respond. So if you respond one way, he's just going to laugh about it, and he'll keep the banter going. If you respond another way, he's gonna absolutely troll the ever living shit out of you. There's two people that I say never get into Twitter beef with, and it is Wes and Bananas, because they are the biggest trolls, the biggest trolls.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want parts of that. I don't want parts of it. I love being on the sidelines, get my popcorn out, watch the trolling in action, but don't need a part of that.
Yeah.
But guys, we're approaching the end game now. We're approaching the end game, and whether it's the show or the cast offline itself, we've been fed this season, and I'm hoping the landing is just as strong.
It should be, because we'll only have three eliminations left plus a final.
Three
and a
more
reunion?
eliminations. So 3 to 5 episodes left of the year.
Yeah, that sounds about it.
If they do a 2-part finale,
Well, we're skipping next week, it looks like. So hopefully we can get this all fitted in before the end of the year.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I always just assumed there's an episode next week.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw that.
Nah,
we don't
they
have one
typically
until...
they typically take off on holiday week.
Yeah.
So if they're off next week, you'll see us in 2 weeks to go over the next episode of the challenge. Dan, what else is going on this network?
We have new podcasts coming out every single day on Survivor, obviously us with the challenge, and tons of other reality TV shows. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the bell, like and subscribe, get notified every time we go live. Listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast app. Please rate and review us 5 stars. Helps us out tremendously. As always, the best way to support the podcast is become a patron at realitypatron.com. Sign up for a month. If you don't like it, Johnny will give you your money back. And I think, that's going to do it for us. Unless, is there anything, I know, Paulie, maybe you have something you want to plug with some exciting New Year's plans?
I do have exciting New Year's plans. For those of you with disposable income, because I know the flights out to Montana are pricey, and the stays out in Montana around this time are pricey. Just kidding. It's going to be a great night. New Year's Eve event. I definitely have a co-host that'll be coming that you guys will know. I don't know if you will love them or hate them, but they are going to be a co-host with me. It is New Year's Eve, Bozeman, Montana, and you guys, if you've never been to one of my boxing events, which I know none of you have because we sell it out with Montana locals every single time, but if you have the opportunity to experience one of those. It is one of the best boxing events in the country for, I would say amateur fighters.
Well, after what I watched last Friday, I could use some good amateur boxing to
if you want to
feed the
cleanse your
soul.
palates from the Mike Tyson Jake Paul scam and see a bunch of homegrown Montana guys who love fighting for a living just absolutely beat the shit out of each other for very little money and belts, this is the event that you want to be to.
Yeah, man.
They
The
do it
scam
for the love of the
almost.
sport. They do it for the love of the sport.
Okay. Before we go, who wins this elimination? Josh or this current age Mike Tyson?
I'm never picking Josh, so.
And that should tell you everything you guys need to know. We'll see you
That's
next
it.
week.
That'll do it for us. We will see y'all next time.